Dr. Sallie Stone. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Oh,
This is a
it's good to
pleasure.
be here. Good to be here.
Yes,
Thank you so much for the invitation.
absolutely. It's pleasure's all mine, honestly. What you are doing for the community is amazing, and I'm very excited just to dive in that a little bit deeper, share your story, and just what you're doing for the community at scale. I
For
think it's
sure.
really, really cool. And if you guys don't know Sallie Stone, she just started the Well. It's a new entrepreneurial space. It's a co-working share space where you're going to have meeting opportunities, meeting rooms, podcast studio, resources that business owners and entrepreneurs here that may not have had that before will now have a better opportunity to get that and just grow their business and brand.
For
So,
sure. Absolutely.
so excited for that.
Yeah, you
So,
hit it right on the head. We actually have been kind of operating in the wheel space more than almost 4 years.
mm,
February was 4 years
wow,
since the concept was approved. And
wow,
so when I
mhm,
say operating in the wheel space is
right,
through our amazing partnership with the City of Lakeland's Office of Economic Development,
hmm,
Community Redevelopment Agency. They understood the plan and the concept. And so they allowed us to work in city spaces to do some of the trainings and events and things,
groundwork,
the groundwork,
right,
and begin to build the platform. And so we were able to take possession of our building. My grand opening was January 21st. And so now it is absolutely a sheer joy and pleasure to be in a physical space where
yes,
we can, begin to fill out all of those nooks and crannies when you move into a new house and you just get in there and start filling out all the awesome things that you planned and things that you
absolutely.
can do. So we're excited. Myself, my husband Mario Stone, and I have really had a outpouring of support for this project. So we're really excited about it.
That's so amazing. So, Sally, why don't we talk a little bit about your backstory before we dive a little bit more into the Well? Because I really want to talk about what opportunities that provides the business owners here. But share a little bit about, where you're from. I know you were big in the educational space before
Correct.
going out. Now you have your own media company, your event company, now the Well. So
Yeah,
talk a
yeah.
little bit about kind of how you got going and where you're at now.
Well, I think that that is so important to know the story. We are all a just compilation of our stories and experiences. I moved to Lakeland in 1993. I'm going to date myself here. And after moving from the Washington, D.C. area,
Oh, wow.
where I worked in my major, which was journalism from the best university in the whole entire world, as indicated by that baby blue that you have on. UNC
Mhm.
Chapel Hill, graduated with a degree
They
in
almost won the
journalism.
championship too. Man.
Man, don't
Oh,
get me started, but we beat Duke.
yes.
So
That
that
that's always a
really
W.
that's
Absolutely.
that's the
Yeah.
win for
I'm a
me.
big basketball fan, so I can
Are
get
you?
get on a tangent there. So I'll
Okay,
stop.
well, we could go on a tangent because North Carolina is basketball.
Yes.
Just Tar
Absolutely.
Heels. That's it. So let
Mhm.
me let me bring it back. But moved here from the Washington D.C. area where I worked in the field. At Most people are familiar with Black Entertainment Television. I worked there about 8 years in the production side of it. Moved here, worked at Nickelodeon for about a year
Ooh.
in production services, and then started teaching, went into teaching with the intent of going into administration. But while I was in the classroom, I taught video production, no
Mm.
surprise. And so
Right.
that was my field, and worked at many schools locally around. But some of the schools were my highlights. The ENN, most people familiar with at George Jenkins, that was my baby.
Hmm.
And
That's so cool.
so became a principal, and my last assignment was at Polk State College, and I am absolutely proud of the opportunity I had to start their second charter school, Gateway to College, on Polk State's campus in Lakeland.
Hmm.
And so that experience from entertainment to education and training and working with, groups that need support in many different areas, whether it's training, whether it's multimedia, allowed me to really tie the things that I love the best about my experience, which is working with groups and helping to get that story, that authentic story that's
Right.
amplified in the ways that they need it to be in front of their audience, and using my skill set from training and production to help make that happen. So the Well is really a dream come true because it's poised with helping businesses, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, for profits, those who want to start a business and those who started a business and then stopped and thought they could never get it back off the ground,
Mhm.
providing the training, providing the resources, providing the encouragement,
Mhm.
and in many ways providing those support structures through grants acquisition and all of those measures that help those who are interested in doing that to do so. So,
That's so amazing.
our core
It's like a
values. Yeah,
it's like a culmination of what you're so passionate about. It's training
exactly.
and coaching and, educating and also
Connecting.
connecting multimedia,
Absolutely,
marketing,
absolutely.
branding,
Yeah,
content.
and you would think that many times that those pieces fit so nicely together. We do have a nod towards helping the underserved and the underrepresented, and what I
Yeah,
mean by that is not so much as it is definitely with, ethnicity and working with minorities and women and veterans,
right.
but it's also around curated groups that you may not think about,
Mhm.
our art and art creators and makers and those who are inventors and they have an idea but they don't know how to connect that idea to the funding source to
Right.
get it done. So those are some of the things that we look forward to being able to help
Mhm.
enrich our community because ultimately it's all about how we come together to collaborate and to create and innovate and do those amazing things that make Lakeland number 2 in the United States for one of the fastest growing cities.
Amazing, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
so amazing. And I think, it's important for people to understand that, you know, you have to be with like-minded people and
yes,
oftentimes see people that have taken that journey or taken that path. Sometimes you need to see it 2 or 3 times, but when you see the one person where it's like, "Okay, I can really relate to him or her,
exactly.
now it seems possible. I can do it." And what you're doing with the well, it's underserved community, right? So bringing people together, having that passion, inspiration, it will propel people forward and it'll make you feel more fail proof because
Absolutely.
you're with people. You have a
Absolutely.
community.
And that's what we do, as have already stated that, basketball is a passion project for you.
Mhm.
I sincerely believe that there doesn't exist the concept that there's nothing I can relate to someone. There has always has to be something that you can relate to someone with.
Mhm.
You and I share a passion for Carolina basketball,
Mhm. Mhm.
messing with you.
Yeah.
Um, but when we come together with like hearts and mind, and if you live in Lakeland and you are part of this energy, this like explosion of innovation and all the things that are happening here that is giving Lakeland a spotlight, not just in the I-4 corridor, but
Mhm.
in the United States as a whole. I just read an article that came out of Yahoo that said Lakeland is growing so fast by 2026, it
Mhm.
will be outpricing
Mhm.
many other cities like New York. Can you
Right.
imagine? I mean,
Amazing.
many people from New York move here because of the, feasibility of being able to, and they'll still move here because it's just so much to do. But it makes me excited to know that when I first moved to Lakeland from the Washington, D.C. area, it did seem a little slow and quiet,
Of course,
but
yeah.
Lakeland is popping, and it is on point now.
I
So,
mean, you've seen quite the journey, and I mean,
yeah.
let's fast forward, where do you see Lakeland 10 years from now?
Oh my goodness. I see, individuals like yourself just, taking that threshold to the next level and connecting with businesses to help make sure that that message about being relevant, being in tune with what's going on in our community, getting the information that you need so that you can make formative decisions about what you need to do for yourself or for your family and definitely for your business
Mhm.
because we do know and understand that small business is the heartbeat of the community.
Mhm.
And so small businesses come in all shape, forms, and sizes, whether we realize it, everything from church to education.
For products.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes such a more vibrant community, a more inclusive and diverse community when we can connect and collaborate
Mhm.
with individuals who have the same kind of mission. We can be in it together thinking about funding sources, or you say, hey, I need a grant to kind of, move this piece along to help do some creative, artistic work. And
Right.
then we come together at the well. It's where people gather,
Mhm.
exchange ideas,
Yep.
look at what we can do collaboratively together in partnership to help make it so that everybody gets an opportunity.
Yep. I love it. I love it. So, how has the city and other resources really opened their arms to your idea? Because obviously there's so many organizations here and we're growing so
Correct.
fast. And I think, again, going back to the point where you need to find people that are relatable. So sometimes you got to hear it from a different way, or new doors have to open to
Yes.
create those opportunities.
Yes.
So, as we're growing, it's only going to grow with those, new organizations. So, how has Lakeland kind of embraced you and just the well since opening?
Well, I would say that, my journey has been one that, even with through the trials and the ups and downs, the barriers and all of those things that we've been able to overcome as indicated by the fact that it's open and we are, doing what our purpose driven, desire has been. Lakeland overall and beyond has been an overwhelming outpouring of support.
Hmm.
Of course, in any business, there are going to be haters. There are going to be people who
Hmm.
are waiting to see if you're going to be able to do what you said, or,
Yep.
some may even stand on the corner with their fingers crossed that you
Yep.
might fail.
Yep.
Let's just be transparent and realistic. But the overwhelming response to the as well as many other entities that I know that are in that same genre,
Hmm.
has been tremendous.
Hmm.
I think that Lakeland has done itself a great, great, great opportunity of service to recognize that we all have commonalities, but we can get to the same point differently.
Mm.
I commend our city commission, those that have been a part of just understanding the concept and doing what they can do to help move it forward. Our mayor, Mr. Mutz,
Yep.
has been a tremendous support, and as well
He's
as the
amazing.
chamber, and of course I have to mention Catapult. And
Hmm.
so when people used to ask all the time, they used to, um, and I get where it came from. People would always say, "Well, if you have X, why do you need Y?
Hmm.
If you have business A that does this, why do you need business B?"
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, if you have McDonald's, why you need Burger King?"
Yeah.
You
There's more
know?
than one coffee shop here in town.
Exactly. There's more than one coffee shop, more than
Right.
one bar,
But
community center.
everyone's taste buds are different.
There you go.
Everyone's, and you're exactly right.
It's all about options.
Hmm.
It's all about choices. We want, those things that fit within our wheelhouse. We don't, have any, problems with, we like separate music. You might like
Yeah.
jazz, I might like hip hop,
Right.
or, classical.
Right.
So it's an opportunity for all of that and then some, because one of the events or programs, if you will, initiatives that we kind of want to roll out, we're just rolling them all out as we are able to. It's called Culture Bites. Take a bite out of
Mm.
someone else's culture.
Love that.
See what it tastes like. I guarantee you that you may find that you like something that you maybe never even thought about.
Or you may like it already and you don't even know where it's coming
Exactly.
from.
It may
Yeah.
remind you of something
Yeah.
that's familiar to you.
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the things that having a place like the Well, which is, pointedly intentional about bringing inclusivity and diverse platforms and
Mhm.
individuals across different genres. Our Unlimited Jazz series that we just rolled out the first Friday in in April. But the thing that you have to remember about being purposeful is that you are aware of every other things that are going on. So we didn't plan it to coincide with First Friday in downtown.
Right.
It's the after
Right.
party.
Right.
So after you've had a great time and you don't want to go home, then
Mhm.
overflow to the Well for unlimited jazz. And
Yep.
so we've had just an amazing opportunity to kind of look at where there are some areas that we can pay more attention to. And I believe that a lot to do with our creative arts in Lakeland, that there are so many people that want the opportunity to be able to engage and connect with those that have similar interests that they have.
Yeah. So amazing. And going back to like the educational background,
Mm,
when you're in school, there's certain teachers that you just vibe more with.
yes,
Like you
yes,
connect with
yes.
them on a deeper level, whatever the reason may be. It's the same thing as you're gaining inspiration from other business owners or, other people.
Exactly.
It's who you connect with at first.
Yes.
So it always boils down to the community fosters growth. And I think that's what I'm so excited for what you're doing because I think it's so deep. Like so many great things and
Right.
businesses and people's lives can change from this
The
one
impact.
entity
Yes.
that
Yes.
it's almost like a party. Like you're opening the doors for a party. Now people need to come in there and like make it their own to have a good time and
Exactly.
grow. But it's really, really
Man,
cool.
Tyler, I
So
love it. I might have to pull you
no,
over to my side
it's
and look,
amazing.
do
I'm
you
just a fan
freelance
of
with PR? Look,
yeah,
can we
I'm
can
a
we talk about that? But you're so right. And even what's even more amazing is the spaces that I'm aware of in the city. And I can, say the ones that I know about that are coming on board from, Kate Lake with Office and More, and here
mhm,
Kristen with the catapult and the chamber and the works that is in place
mhm,
and working with them. And what's so awesome is that all of those entities that I just named have individually as an organization told people about the well.
mhm,
And they show up and say, hey, Chuck McDowell, who was the interim president
right.
of the chamber, told me that you all are looking da 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 da.
Yeah,
Or, Steve Scruggs sent me and said that, referred me to you.
that's
Or,
great. Yeah.
Kate Lake told me, and I'm not saying that to say, oh, if you could see a deeper trend of collaboration
Right.
here,
Right.
it's not about, who is in the front of the line, is how can we join
Yep.
forces and resources and help each other. So if I'm doing something that you don't have the access to do, why not tell me about it?
Right.
And so if it starts with the collaborative spaces here
Mhm.
that are referring and talking to other business owners, and so that fits so well, amazingly well in the wheelhouse for the well, is that it's about blending and coming together. So you think about wells in ancient days, they were in the center of the community. It's where people gathered to exchange ideas, to conduct business, to do commerce. And so you put your water in the well, and I put my water, and it's the best water we both have. When we dip out of it, doesn't it make sense that we're going to get out something much better than what we put in there?
I love that.
Yeah, that's
One of
pretty
my
cool.
questions is gonna be, how'd you come up with the name of the well? And you just literally
I just
answered that, so
answered
that's
it, right?
beautiful.
But
Yes.
think about
That's
water.
great.
I mean, water is the ebb and flow. It is that one entity that
Mhm.
allows you to move seamlessly
Mhm.
and be a conductor of life. It's restoring, it's sustaining it.
Yes.
It is absolutely what you need. In fact, what our bodies are made up of more water than anything else.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
can live for a little bit of time without food,
Mhm.
but you absolutely cannot live without water. So resources, access, community, engagement, those things are the components that I say make up the well water. It's what brings us to this place where I can, and for some people it may sound like, oh, that's too idealistic, oh, but I'm finding that water can get into some places that,
Mhm.
you try to stop it.
I think it's exactly what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the 10, whatever the percent may be, it's more percentage of people are now gaining an opportunity when
Yes.
otherwise they may not have done it. They may
May
not have
not have
taken that
done it.
risk. So,
Exactly,
yeah, I
exactly.
commend you.
And so
So
we make sure that we pay attention to that specific thing, but we also realize that there is a greater good. My husband Mario and I both often say, this is bigger than the both of us.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
so I feel so,
absolutely.
divinely, blessed to have been chosen, by, God, who is um
Mhm.
my help, my savior.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
ashamed to
amazing.
to
Yeah,
mention that.
absolutely.
So, that's why I am a woman of faith, and I believe that it's by faith that we are able to do those things that of our own accord we
Mhm.
would not be able to do.
Yep. I think that's a great segue to a question I had, like, on a more personal level. Like,
Mm,
as you were, in your professional career, did you always envision kind of creating the well or
yeah.
something like that? Or like how talk it's a loaded question.
Okay.
Two, one is where in that journey did you find like a challenging part of it where you got discouraged or down?
Mm,
And did you know that this was your calling? Like, when did you know that?
that's a great question. When I moved here, in the back regions of my mind, coming out of entertainment, I always wanted to have a space. I think I may have thought about it as an event space at the time,
Mhm.
thinking, it would be a space, of course, with a background in entertainment, working at BET. I mean, I met everyone from, Patti LaBelle to Whitney Houston, rest in peace,
No way.
So, New Edition was just
Who is the
in
coolest
Tampa.
celebrity that you've met?
The coolest celebrity that I have, there's so many of them, but I do have fond, memories. And I was the in management and
Mhm.
administration. So I scheduled the crews, everyone from green room services to makeup and services. So I scheduled the teleprompter and the camera operators and kind of facilitated that. But one of the coolest things was I would say Patty LaBelle, because she would come and the green room would be filled with pie, which people know later she created her own sweet potato pies, or
Right.
we'd have collard greens. And she loved to cook. So to me that was pretty awesome. Everyone from, many of the rappers to political figures, people that you think about that at the end of the day, you figure, oh, they're just people just like me, and you get to know a little bit about their life and their story. You hear their story
Yes.
and you understand why they do what they do, even though people see them in one, regard. And what's so amazing about that, we still have a communication, it's worldwide,
Yeah.
people who are working for ESPN and PBS that
Right.
I
It's
hired.
a
I'm like,
fraternity.
wow,
Yeah, or
it's a
sorority.
huge
Absolutely.
family. It's
Yep.
sorority. I'm in
Yep.
that too.
Yep. Yep.
The best one that
Yep.
there's out there. But
Mhm. So yeah, going back to your personal journey, like
mm,
where was there any like trial tribulations, maybe where you're
I
like,
would
man, like
say,
I don't know where I'm going, or
mm,
and how'd you kind of go?
I don't think it was more so the not know where I was going. It was the how getting in the way of the what and the why. So I knew what, I knew why I was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
but how kind of comes around with how much money do you have? How many resources do you have?
Family
How
and
much?
life.
Yeah, all of those
Mhm.
kinds of things was probably the biggest, I would say, challenge, in that you can't just think about how you're going to do something. I have to think about that I have a daughter who I'm thankful for, is, as I mentioned her, she's a full-time student, majoring in mass communications, following in her mother's footsteps, which I'm,
You don't say.
yes, definitely.
It's awesome.
And I'm my mother's caregiver. So I can't just do the how based on, what is going to be good for my 85-year-old mom. So I would say those life pieces that you have to think, if I go down this road, and the road of entrepreneurship is definitely not, um, all roses. I'll just put it that way.
There's a
As
lot,
you
there's
should.
a, there's a lot of potholes
It's
that you
a
gotta
lot it's a
swerve.
lot of
Yes,
potholes
yes,
and weeds and some
yes.
more
Yep.
things. And
Hmm.
so I would say that was the biggest thing, staying true to your mission. And so I used to operate from the quote that says, I will succeed because the fire that burns on the inside of me is much greater than the fires that surround me. And so I've just always had that burning passion, to push forward. I saw my mom do that,
Hmm.
with seven children. And, at the age of 32, my father, who was in the military, passed away. My mother raised all of us. We all went to college. We all
Wow.
graduated. None of
Wow.
us ever got into any trouble. And so, my mom's model of that that selfless, you know, compassion towards making sure that you care about is well taken care of. I learned that from her.
That's amazing. So, like, as far as when you transitioned out of the educational
Yeah,
realm and into entrepreneurship, right?
yeah,
You were in the public school system,
absolutely.
and
Actually, I
then
moved into charter, which is public
mhm.
school, but I tell the story that I was an unintended entrepreneur. I would have been
Which
happy
happens, yeah.
staying at the in the position that I was in education. I knew that there was a greater purpose for me. I mean,
Mhm.
I knew that, but I was content and happy. And
Mhm.
sometimes when, God wants you to move the way he wants you to move, he will, shake things up, which I took a pivot in my career and left the field of education. It wasn't what I was expecting, but nevertheless it happened. And so you go from, okay, so what am I going to do?
Mhm.
And I could clearly, distinctly remember myself saying to myself, well, use what you've got. And so I turned towards the multimedia, which is well done events, and started with one photo booth and
Mhm.
going out and being at many community events and engaging the community, not simply just taking pictures, but encouraging that community engagement, as people like to connect and communicate with each other.
Mhm.
And so we went from one photo booth to five. Now we have seven. So
So
it
did you
was
like leave knowing that you're starting this, or did you kind of leave you're getting kind of a little burnt out? Maybe you just wanted to
wasn't burnt
change,
no,
or
wasn't burnt out, wasn't intending on starting that. It's I had a divergent of philosophies with the organization that I was with, and so it was a unexpected transition.
mm-hmm,
But as I look back now, I go,
calling? Was it?
"Oh my
Yeah.
goodness," And so whenever things occur and you don't really understand, for me, I go back to my faith and knowing that
Mm-hmm.
there is a greater good in play here. So initially it was really difficult because I didn't know, okay, so what am I going to do? But as I began to, engage in the community aspect of building partnerships and looking at the gaps that are, and if you think about it, that's really what I did as an educator. It was looking at students through the perspective of what do they need and how can I give them what they need, or teachers or staff. And so I am a servant leader. I would say that I'm a facilitative leader, and it's more so about what can I get for you to make your job more rewarding, or better able to look at those inequities and those gaps and those things that need to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's education or business or personal or professional lifestyles. It really does come down to being able to connect resources to those who need them the most.
Mm. Yep.
So,
Exactly what you're doing.
yeah, I'm
So,
trying.
all right. So now working through the timeline, you start the media, or you start the media company, yes.
hmm
And now, when does the well come into the picture, and how does that come into the picture?
That's a great question. So, being engaged in community service, and so um, I serve on many different boards that I'm
Polk Vision, or Lakeland Vision. I'm
Lakeland
sorry.
Vision.
Yeah.
I am the education chair for Lakeland Vision, and on the chamber the board of director for the chamber and several other boards and community civic organizations. What I began to see was that the ability to tell the story, whether it is a story of injustice or whether it is a story of un un recognizable valor that someone may have in an area that is totally misunderstood, like neighborhoods. There are so many neighborhoods that are in need of attention, whether they are the neighborhoods that are in the most blighted community like Midtown, or those neighborhoods that experience expansive growth, but they need more resources, parks, and things to help continue to make that neighborhood a good place to live so that we can attract those that need to come to Lakeland to help build our community. And so just being community engaged, going to the festivals, working with the neighborhood associations, working with the neighborhoods in the area where I attend church and service, it was clear that there were some distinct needs, some gaps. There are some disparities, and that's always the case, the current world that we live in. But it became, what can I do? What skill set do I have? And I'm a communicator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a connector. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
collaborator.
You're a
I,
marketer.
I
You're
try to do
Yeah.
all those things, and then telling the story so that it's not a story of, oh, that's just one more piece of the puzzle, but do you see how your story connects to my story? Sometimes it takes a little bit of, I think, of what we bring to the table as media to help people see that we are a lot more connected than you realize. And so if I do well, that it's going to impact you. And if I don't do well, believe it or not, that's going to impact you
Mm-hmm.
as well. So
Yeah.
that's where I saw one of my strengths is being able to communicate and facilitate and, help raise that voice of consciousness across the board, from, whether it's women, or whether it's veterans, or whether it's, minorities, all of those, or whether our biggest commodity is our youth and our young people. We do need to give them a different perspective on how cities operate, how
Mm-hmm.
government operate, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't they see it. But I'd love for my daughter to want to be a city commissioner. I would love for
Yeah.
some of the students that I mentor to want to become
And,
mayor.
and it's needed. Yeah.
It's needed. And so sometimes they only know about what's happening when things go awry. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to tell my parents, and I did as well when my daughter, who graduated from Harrison, I would go to the school and tell me what's going on. So don't just show up when there is a challenge. Show up when good things are happening. And so we need to engage young people, millennials and Gen Zs in the good things that are happening so that they would want to one day become chief of police, or they may want to be one of the, county commissioners, that they understand through the lens that this is what makes, we have some amazing public servants that work in our community in the county as well as the city, whether it's, Commissioner Walker, who was instrumental in helping to get that Lakeland history and culture committee together. So now there is a Lakeland History and Culture Center in the main library in Lakeland. So those are the kinds of things that happen, that wheels that are turning. And I love that because it encompasses such a greater good than what we see through our own lenses. When we come around the table and you share some of the things that have been challenging for you, and I share things that have been challenging to me, you can help inform my decisions, and vice versa. So that's really what community is about. Communities are about people helping each other. And that's the only way, I believe. That's my philosophy. That's the only way we're going to all make it to where we want to go.
Yep. Could not
Because
agree
we're as
more.
strong as our weakest link.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, and going back to just kind of your story and hearing it, I think one thing for everyone listening and watching to understand is, you have to just trust your gut and put yourself in the room in
Yes.
situations that you feel that you're serving your purpose well, right? And doors open. But I think it's amazing because you had a calling, whether the timing
Mhm.
happens when it happens, right? But
Right, right.
the fact that you moved in a new direction and used your gifts of connecting and pouring into the community, that opened a whole new door that you had no idea that was even going to
Exactly.
be there,
That's so
right?
well
So
said.
that's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
sometimes you're pushing and grinding and moving towards a direction, even though that may not be your end destination or what you feel like that's what you're called for. But as long as you're moving and you're progressing, that's the way, right? That's what you need to be
Exactly. Oh,
focused on.
that's so well said. And I'm gonna kind of tell you now that I may use a little bit of that. I'll give you credit the first time
No,
I use it, but by
absolutely.
the third time I use it, I was like, I always say.
Yeah, I've been saying this for
No,
years.
that's absolutely true. And so, you do have to have that intrinsic inspiration, and to know that you must be a part of the process.
Mhm.
And so I love to tell this pretty funny story. I have been a admirer of Shirley Chisholm, and the meme and the quote she always says, if they don't give you an invitation to the table, then
And make your own.
make your
Yeah,
own, bring your own chair.
yeah. Yep.
And that is powerful. um but I had a young person, a Gen Z, I think it was, that gave me a little twist on it. And that's why we always have to be open to seeing things beyond our own perspective. And so I made this vibrant quote: if they don't give you a seat at the table, then you can bring your own chair. And this person said, well, I'm gonna make my own table and maybe I'll invite them to my table. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
that is the power of
yeah,
being a young person, where opportunity is,
right.
open to you if you are willing to get in there and,
Yeah,
be in the room and be present. And
yes.
sometimes, to be honest, it's uncomfortable.
Mhm. Yep,
It is uncomfortable. When
yep.
you look around, if you come into a room of, beautiful women, I guarantee the first thing you're gonna look to see if there are any guys in there that,
Mhm.
we gravitate
Right.
towards those things that are familiar to us. That doesn't mean that we are not cognizant or considerate of other, viewpoints. It just means that we as human beings like to be comfortable. Change is not always fun,
No.
but it's necessary.
Mhm.
And when we can embrace change, then we can be more impactful because we get to be a part of how that change unfolds,
Yep.
rather than sitting back and complaining, oh, this change, this change. Well, what have you done about it?
Right, exactly, and,
Can
like,
you be the kind of change you want to see
mhm.
occur?
Yep, and you have to be open-minded too. Like, I was
Yes.
watching an interview, like, I forget who it was exactly, but I wish I can give him credit, but he
Mm,
was saying something along the lines of, "You have to be open-minded because there's opportunities that are coming that you don't even know what is coming after that next
exactly.
opportunity." So, the moment that you stay closed-minded on things, then, doors aren't going to be
They're not
open.
gonna open, and, at the end of the day, we all have to be willing and be open-minded enough, so does that mean you gotta throw away all your morals and, and things of that nature, and you just gotta be willing to accept anything?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Hmm.
But, again, as we've said earlier, and you've kinda, touched on it as well, is that we have to be willing to see things through a different perspective than our own, because you'd be as it the quintessential, is it half empty or half full? Some people see the glass half full, some people see it half empty. And then those are those of us like yourself and myself, which I like to consider this as, well, okay, well, I'm going to take this glass and make lemonade.
How can
You
I pour
know,
more in it?
there
Right.
you
How can I
go.
get
How can I
more?
get
Right.
more?
Yeah.
And then if it spills over, can I tell somebody else, hey, put
Hmm.
your cup under there and
Hmm.
catch that? So we're still making good use of everything that's available to. And there's so much. There's room for everyone. Even there are churches on every corner. There are bars on every corner. There's so many different avenues that we can
Hmm.
take.
Well, for like the underserved community, which is
Mm,
what the Well's really focused on
yes.
providing the
Yes,
value
yes,
and the
yes.
resources to, it's like, again, like knowing people that have gone through or went there, gotten help, that connection, just knowing people that you can connect with, that's a start. Because think
That's
about
it.
like how many business owners or in any profession, like an artist,
Right.
how many
Let's talk
amazing
about that.
artists could there have been if that one person actually tried?
Exactly.
Like who was the best painter? Who was the best basketball player? Who was the
Right.
best business owner?
Right.
There's probably one or two that would have been that person had they had the opportunity
And
or
if they
had they
gave up,
known someone
exactly.
that right.
People tell
So,
the story often of Michael Jordan and his high school career,
mhm,
and he's
yeah.
from Wilmington, North Carolina, and we played them in high school. And the story
Like
goes,
you saw Michael
yeah,
Jordan play in high
I
school?
went to school with Michael Jordan. He's older than I am, so I'm
Wait, you went
giving
to the
away
same high
my.
school as Michael Jordan?
No, we went to same
Oh,
college,
okay.
but we
What?
played against each other in high school. We were
What?
in the
That's so
same
cool.
division. So, at one point though, he got cut from
Yeah,
high
yeah,
school. So
from
people are
JV team.
familiar. People are familiar
Yeah,
with that story. But so what if he had quit at that point?
right.
What if he had just given up? And so the same thing as you just made such a, an excellent point, is that when people come to the well and they connect with someone and then they go tell someone else about it,
Mhm.
then it then begins to
That's a
replicate.
spark. It just takes a
Absolutely.
spark.
It's a spark. And so we all have a, I think, responsibility to give back, to pull someone forward, to make sure that someone else has an opportunity to, move into that next phase or that next level. And
Mhm.
so it's not always easy, but it can definitely be done if everyone have a collective understanding of there's enough for everyone to be okay. Envy is not that, and my pastor always teaches us that, envy is not that I want something. Envy is I want what you have. And
Mm,
so my response to that is there is enough for you to have what you need, for me to have what I need, and for us all, because at the end of the day, um, I can't be you and you
mhm.
couldn't be me if you tried,
Right.
right? And so what you have and what I have is distinctly, uniquely us. And it is good. It is absolutely excellent. And so, as I'm enjoying sitting here talking to you, because you are such a good listener and you're making me
Thank
think
you.
I'm saying good stuff because your
You
facial
are. It's
expressions.
fire. The mic's
I
on fire right now.
hope it is. But we have to learn to be able to do that and
Mhm.
and hear, I mean, really hear what is being. I think sometimes we miss that with young people. And as an educator, I'm saying that based on my experience from a kindergarten principal all the way up to a high school principal, is that young people don't um, come thinking that I just want to be disruptive. Many times we have to listen closely. And I
Mm,
think the same thing that holds true for businesses. Businesses don't want to fail.
right.
Oftentimes is that they may be trying to access what they need, but it's not available. And so underserved, underrepresented, under-resourced populations oftentimes won't even go somewhere because they feel like, well,
Right. They
what's
don't even take that first step.
no, because they feel like, oh, that's not
Mm.
gonna matter. It's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah, that's so good. So what would you say, Sally, as far as like if I'm a business owner
Mm,
or I'm an aspiring business owner, I have a
yeah,
great idea. I have entrepreneurial spirit. I go to the well. what resources are available to me when I step inside the building? Like what,
My goodness.
like,
Well, the first thing when you step inside the building, you're gonna feel the ambiance of a space that's very comfortable. It's industrial, but it's also urban chic, as someone has described it. You from the leather furniture that was donated to us by one of our amazing sponsors, Mid Florida Credit Union, to the music, the jazz that's playing in the background. You come into a space. The very first thing we do when we go into a restaurant is we smell and we see and we take all of that into our senses.
mhm,
So I would say that the well was purposed with intentionality to be a welcoming space. Come in and sit down and engage at that level. But more than that, it is I'm going to sound a little cheesy. The well and welcome.
mhm,
It is absolutely a spirit of congeniality, of welcomeness, as we want you here. I would never want anyone to walk into the well and wonder whether or not I'm supposed to be here,
mhm,
or whether or not someone's looking at me like I shouldn't be here. And so we are poised with making sure that when someone walks in the door, we stop what we're doing. Hey, how are you? What you looking for someone? Or you looking? They may be coming in looking for Mika's baked goods,
mhm,
who is in our building,
mhm.
or they may be looking for, I heard about that you guys do this workshop. So we have taken a an assessment, if you will, of those who traditionally fall in that realm of underserved, underrepresented, under-resourced, and using ourselves as the poster children, looked at what are some of the things that they need. Well, one thing we know they need is training and professional development and access to resource. So the Mid Florida Surge program, which was sponsored by Mid Florida Credit Union, gave us an opportunity to take 10 businesses through a targeted intensive learning process so that they
Right.
are connected, not simply just introduced, but connected to people in the community that can help them move their business forward. That was a great opportunity, and we are so excited. It just ended, and we're looking forward to rolling it out again next year, but
That's
also through
really cool.
collaborations with other organizations from, Florida Southern to Kaiser to Florida Poly have all expressed an interest in bringing their resources into the well. I mean, I can name so many different of our different members of our partnerships and collaborations who are like, listen, Florida Poly's Department of Physical Therapy has a grant which helps to raise the health awareness for those who are suffering from diabetes and obesity and hypertension. And so that grant is a community resource. How many people know about it?
Right.
So the well
Yeah.
is intended to make sure that the community is made aware of enriching programs. We just hosted um, Coalition of 100 Black Women did a workshop on economics, sisternomics they called it. The League of Women Voters just was recently hosted a meet and greet around what's happening in our state as it relative to redistricting and things of that nature.
Mhm.
I don't want to call names, but I guess the point that I'm making is that collaborations are key. The well works best in collaboration
Mhm.
with, the American Federation of Advertisers, or even just a local ministry that is looking to do community outreach and need a space. One of our biggest, most successful partnerships to date thus far is hosting Toastmasters the first and third Mondays of the month. That's what the well is poised with doing, is providing that platform, being that conduit, making sure that we are able to help connect people to the things that they need to be successful. Everything from Women's Resource Center. We also have a law firm that is located in our building, and many more like that will come
Mhm.
so that we can be a full service
Right.
operation to help people get what they need.
And then the next evolution is networking within the members and
Absolutely.
the community
That's
within
it.
it, right? So
Already
now
happening.
you've already
Yep.
mentioned like 3 or 4 different businesses, law
Correct.
firm, there's
Yeah.
other things you can kinda go in there as a solopreneur
It's a
or a
community.
freelancer,
Absolutely.
creative.
Absolutely.
That's
And there
really
there are many people that are, bringing their, so we make sure people understand that you're coming to the well with your platform.
Mhm.
We are a blank canvas. And so you can come in and we will help you by providing you with access to our
Right.
resources, or referring you to who can get
Who
you there
right,
better.
exactly.
It's not necessarily about that we can do it all.
Like, you're not gonna
It's
go there and be on an island.
no,
Right,
absolutely
at
not.
all.
And
You're
if
gonna
we can't provide you what
it's
we
like a
need, we'll
all-inclusive
definitely tell
resort, it
you.
sounds like.
Yeah, we're working on
It
it,
sounds
working
great,
on
yes.
some
I have to make a
things
stop in there.
for
I'm sorry
sure.
that I haven't yet, but after this, I absolutely need
We would
to.
love to have
So,
you come through, and I'm
yeah.
sure that there, are and so, someone said, "Well, if I'm a member of the Well, can I be a member of?" Absolutely.
Mhm.
I mean, you go eat at several different restaurants in a
Right,
week.
yeah.
The
Absolutely.
the Well is just one more piece of the tapestry.
Right.
We're one more thread that creates this picture that is so much needed in
Right.
Lakeland.
If anything, it would be great for networking opportunities, right? So, I mean, people join the chamber and join other
That's
organizations,
right.
like, it's just matter of connection
That's it.
and relationships. That's
Relationships.
how things
And
grow.
you know what? And that's such a good point that I just have to, share that someone once told me that relationships are more valuable than money.
Mhm.
Think about it.
Mhm.
If you have 1,000 friends, that had $1,000 each,
Mhm.
or you had $1,000 just for yourself,
Mhm.
which one would you have more?
Right.
So relationships are key because it's the relationship that allowed you to move in the continuum of success and the ebb. You've got one friend that will encourage you when you feel like I'm gonna throw in the towel, and then you got another friend to tell you, look, don't go that way because that's
Mhm.
not gonna help you.
Yep.
You need all of that and everything in between. So,
So, in closing, Sally, what would you I love asking this question for everyone. What would you say you would love to be known for at the end of the
mm,
day? The well, thriving,
yeah.
where do you see yourself and what do you want to be known for?
I'll just give you like a um, personal goal, a professional goal.
Yeah.
One of our goals is to plant wells across Florida. We
Mm,
don't want just one well. Wells are in
awesome.
every community, and anywhere where you have blight or in an unavailability of resources, you need a well.
Mm,
You need a space where people can come and access information and gain knowledge and opportunity. So that would be a professional goal. A personal goal would be to impact the lives of those who are in need and don't have a voice or feel like they don't have a voice, and be able to help them strengthen their voice so they can stand and share their story or tell their story with pride and confidence. And then a spiritual goal of mine that I'd love to be left for is that she loved people. She loved connecting people together. She loved standing up for those who, you know, maybe sometimes didn't feel that they had the strength to stand up for themselves. Because I think that is by faith we can do anything. And that if we connect together, that we can make so much more of an impact than any one individual by themselves. So I guess that you would be my response.
yeah, that's amazing. And I can say that you're already doing that third
Oh,
one
thank
to a
you
very
so
high
much.
level. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
very excited and just, I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone, very appreciative of you and what you're doing for the community. So,
Yes.
kudos to you. So yeah, is there anything that you wanted to share? Like, is there any upcoming events that people maybe want to check out the well for the
How
first
much
time?
time
Do
we
you have
got?
like,
No, there
is there
are a
like an
couple of
open,
things.
like, do you have like an open night or like, I don't know what the
Right,
right
right, right. Yeah,
open
we
house
do. We
or,
do have a couple of things that are gonna become a part of our just the community, things that we do.
hmm
That was a part of the concept is that to be consistent in the community.
yeah,
We are really working towards curating some things that people come to know. This is what you can expect at
right.
the well. They look for it. So
hmm
one of them is our unlimited jazz series. It's just bringing that music. Music is just the soul of the community. And so different genres of music. So that's why we have a podcast room, absolutely. But we also have a full-on audio recording broadcast quality studio. And we work with producers in the field, some of them that are still working in their field and some that do it as a passion project. So we want people to invite to come in and be able to utilize those levels and as well as for photojournalism or photography. We don't just do videography. We do 2, 3 camera switched events that you can live stream. So, I'm excited
Yeah,
to
that's
get
so
back to
cool.
that because
Yeah.
that's what I loved about,
Mhm.
that the field of broadcasting and,
Right.
and journalism is being
So
able to do that.
so obviously people can go there any
Mhm.
day of the week, but like when are
Our
those?
website has our calendar up,
Okay.
and so we don't just put our events, we put events that we know that are happening in the community
That's
because that's
great.
just what you do. But, that's the first Friday, our Unlimited Jazz at the Well. So all of our events are posted on our website. You can see that, like I said, our Toastmasters first and third. And then, just rolling out since January, it just seems like we've been here a little bit longer, but our Lunch and Learn series, our Conversation and Coffee series. All of those things are consistent pieces of what we want to be able to offer our art exhibits. I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Kent McAllister, who did the mural on the front of our building. He is the artist that rendered that amazing mural. He is a middle school teacher, and he was selected. We wanted a mural that reflects the community, and so on that mural, you will see iconic people in our community. Mr. Nat Adderley, who is a nationally renowned saxophonist that is from Lakeland and is renowned in his field, and so he's on that mural. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Most people may not know he was the first Black mayor and a local surgeon. He's on the front, and then you have Miss Miss Annie Fowl, who is a local teacher who taught everybody, including their grandma
Mhm.
at in our local school system,
Mhm.
and Mr. Chastain, who is a community advocate. So those individuals on the front of that building really kind of give a sense of community
Hmm.
and who we are.
So
And
cool.
we expect to see many more people. And maybe one day you'll be on there.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to.
But
Well,
that is really we invite you to drop in. We invite people to
absolutely.
follow us on Instagram. Our daughter keeps us well versed on there, and Facebook. We are there, and we promote what's happening in our community. Of course, we put our stuff out there, but we promote what's happening
Mhm.
with other businesses as well. It's about telling the entire story and celebrating all the uniqueness of Lakeland.
Well, we'll be sure to include the links for everyone that's watching and listening too.
Sure.
So, well, Sally, thank you so much for
You're
joining me
welcome.
today. It's been a great conversation. I think just sharing the story about what you're doing and your journey, like you have so much inspiration and you're a wealth of knowledge. So, I would encourage anyone, you know, go to the well, talk to Sally, connect with her. Thank you so much
You're
again, and
welcome.
I'm
You're
excited
welcome.
to go down there, and I hope to be embedded
Hey,
in the well as well. So.
absolutely. Meet me at the well. Let's see what happens.
Love it.
All
All right.
right.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.